Hi, I'm Becky Parker Geist. I am the CEO of Pro Audio Voices, providing audiobook production, distribution, and marketing. And I'm also president of Bay Area Independent Publishers Association, as well as an author myself and the host of the Audiobook Connection podcast. With this episode, I'll be able to help authors who are trying to figure out whether recording your own audiobook is a good fit for you. Number one, where would you record? With the home studio, this is in many ways the most complex option, especially if you have to completely set up your space. If you have, there's a couple different aspects. One is the equipment that you're going to need and the DAW or the audio software, and the other is the space itself. When we're talking about the space, there are two kinds of mitigation that you're trying to do in whatever space you have. And those are keeping unwanted sounds out and having your internal space sound good. So they're just two different elements of sound. Now, the external noises that that you need to be thinking about when you are deciding if a home studio is even a good choice for you, if you're in a very noisy neighborhood, if you live near a highway or an airport, your space is not going to be good for recording because you're going to have a lot of that low sound, from the roar of the engines mostly, that's going to be really challenging to deal with. And it's not something that you can, oh, I'll just take it out in the end, typically. Now, some audio engineers can certainly make a difference in that sound, but you really always want to have the cleanest recording you can going into the post-production process. So if you have a space where there are lots of leaf blowers and lots of noisy dogs, those are situations where you can probably figure out your timing harder with the noisy dogs because you never know when they're going to bark. But leaf blowers, more often you're going to have somebody, neighbors who are on a gardener's schedule, and you may be able to find a quiet time in the evening, for example. Internal sounds, you may have a heating system, that HVAC system that's noisy. And the best way to really figure out if it's noisy is to just spend a few minutes in your space and close your eyes and really listen carefully and try and hear whatever sounds are consistent that you're just living with, you're used to, no big deal, not a problem. But in audio could be. I'm going to leave off on space now. I think I've probably given you enough hints as to the kinds of issues you may be facing, and given you some thought about, how to think about what your space might allow for. Let's move on to equipment. If you're setting up a home studio, you are going to need a high quality mic. They don't have to be exorbitantly expensive, but you will need a good quality mic that is going to allow you to get this audiobook quality of audio. And I stated in that way because podcast miking, podcast mics, which are very common and very inexpensive, and usually just plug into your computer with a USB. They're easy to use, but they don't give you the quality of sound that you need for audiobooks. They work well for podcasts, but not for audiobooks. Okay, so in addition to your microphone, you're going to need an audio interface, and you're going to also, so that is basically what your microphone is plugging into before it goes into your computer. And then there are things like headphones and mic stands and pop filter screens that are going to help you with those plosive sounds. where you can get a real pop with a P, for example, or a T. And you may not notice it at first, but if you have somebody listening to your audiobook, and they're getting that plosive sound, first of all, it won't pass through quality control. But secondly, it's really annoying for the listener. So, in terms of equipment, there is stuff you're going to need. And there are kits, there are whole recording kits that can be ordered. They're not exorbitantly expensive, but it is something that you're going to need to equip your studio with. If you have a very short book, setting up a home studio for one-time recording of that book is likely to be more expensive than going to a local studio. So think about your long-term plans. If you plan to record other books, not just one, and the length of your book, these are factors you may want to consider as to whether the home studio option is going to be smart for you or just more costly and more hassle. I hope that this has been helpful. Please reach out to us if you have any questions. We're at proaudiovoices.com, and we are helping to inspire the world through the audiobooks that we bring to life.